Welcome back, difference makers. Welcome to Real Talk, powered by The Difference, hosted by Brian Poduska. It is your favorite co-host, Loan Officer Mark. Welcome to the dog days of summer. We've got an action-packed episode today. We're rolling out a brand new topic for the month. We're talking everything growth. London, hit that tape. Let's go, man.
Hey everybody, what's up? This is Brian Poduska, host of Real Talk with Brian Poduska. I've got my awesome co-host Mark, who you just saw there. Mark, thank you for the intro, officially known as the Loan Officer Mark. So thank you for that intro, sir. As Mark mentioned, we have a new business topic of the month, and that is growth. Growth mindset, both personal, professional. So it's a big topic to chew on this month, which is awesome. One of my favorite topics. For those of you who have not seen the show in the past, we do have a rotating business topic of the month. Every month it changes. We have co-hosts that, along with myself, bring on their guests, and which allows us to spotlight their business, get to know them, get to know their story, and just really lift up the local entrepreneur community here in the DFW area. Like I said, we are, or like Mark mentioned, I should say, we are part of the Difference radio show and podcast. That is our underlying foundation. It was set up about 3 years ago by Lennon Wilson. We've been along the entire journey and having fun going along with them. And essentially, kind of like what we're doing here at Real Talk. The Difference is about uplifting the local business community. Is about as simple as I can put it. And it's allowing people to meet people through business owners, to meet other business owners through, a radio show and podcast, which is a unique concept, and it's awesome, and it's fun at the same time. So today's show is going to be great. We've got two co-hosts. I think Kendra's going to be. She's trying to get on, so we at least have Mark. Kendra is usually his co-pilot on the first week of the month. But they both have a guest. So even if Kendra can't join us, we do have her guest to introduce to the audience today. So without further ado, why don't we bring on at least Mark, Lennon, if you don't mind.
Don't you ever say at least Mark. Mark is more than enough.
The most Mark. How about that?
Yeah. The hostess with the mostest.
What's up, my friend? Long time no see. I saw you about 2.5 hours ago at the Real Producers event.
I know. That was a good time, man.
It was awesome.
There is so much going on in this industry, so it's always good to get around people that are actually the movers and shakers and seeing what they're seeing and kind of talking it over. So always a great time. Shout out to you, Jordan. Keep it up, man.
Indeed. So today, I know you, this is one of your favorite topics as well, the growth mindset, growth in general, personal growth, business growth. I know the journey that you're going on right now. You're about day 40, if I recall correctly, something like that.
46.
Oh, okay, there you go. I'm a week behind. So you're going through what's it called? 75 hard.
75 hard. So it's 75 days full commitment, or else you're not going to pass. It's 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes each. One of them has to be outside. I have to go on my second one still. That is going to suck in this 98 degrees my computer says right now. You've got to pick a diet, stick to it, a gallon of water a day, which is like, I thought it was going to be the hardest with the workouts. That's actually going really well. 10 pages of a personal development or a nonfiction book has to be read. It can't be on Audible. And then you've got to take a progress picture every day. And so a lot of people think it's a health challenge. It's really, truly like a mental mindset challenge. And I love talking about growth. Part of the reason why is that I needed it in my life. Like, I think the beauty of entrepreneurs and looking at people at the pinnacle or the apex of their career, they didn't start that way, right? Like they had to start their journey at one point or another. And I started my journey after I really set goals for the first time. And then I looked at them and I was like, shit, man, you don't deserve hitting those goals. Like you've got to level up as a leader, as a loan officer, as a person, as a partner. And so that's really what got my journey started. And so it's always good to start at the bottom. You've only got one way to go from there.
Mark, I will say this. I can see a difference. Arms, shoulders, pecs. You're looking good, man. You're making 75 hard look easy.
I'm in a groove, man. It's coming. I mean, it's become a habit. I don't know that I'll ever stop. It's actually part of, I didn't know about it at the time. I specifically hide things from myself because I know how much of a challenge it is battling yourself and your mind. But it's part of a whole year-long program. And so I've started the journey. I guess now that I'm saying it publicly, I'm going to have to do it.
Attaboy.
Well, you're going to increase our viewership by just doing a Hulk and ripping off your shirt one of these days. So we gotta promote that.
I was telling Julie, it's part of me staying on brand with the loan rescue. Like I got to be a superhero, so I got to get myself built out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, love it. It looks like just looking at my notes here and on the side, and it looks like we were able to get our second co-host, Kendra, plugged in behind the scenes. So, Kendra, if you're ready, come on stage and say hello.
Oh, there she is.
I'm here. Let's see. How do I get on? Where am I? Yep, I'm here. Sorry. I was looking to make sure I was on. Hey, guys. Sorry about that. Our internet went out multiple times today and then tried to get online and had to go all kinds of different avenues to get there. But I'm here and glad to be here because this is an amazing topic this month. So it's definitely been a summer, I would say. A lot of fun changes and, an interesting summer in real estate, to say the least. So
Indeed it is, and it has been and will continue to be. I think we've got, a few bumps in the road ahead of us specific to this market. I think that the bumps will be a little bit less, but certainly there will be bumps to be had. So, yes. Thanks for joining us. Looks like you're frozen on my screen. I'm not sure if that's true for everybody, but at least we can hear you.
Yeah. She might have to turn her green screen off. A lot of times on some of these computers, the green screen pulls too much bandwidth and it will freeze your video card.
Okay, let me see. I think I put no.
As you work on that, Kendra, first, it is good to see you, even if you are frozen. I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. I feel like it's been forever, so call me. But let's get the show going, man. I've got a guest who's waiting backstage. He's got to jump off a little bit early. You've got a guest who I'm excited to meet. Her name is Margaret. But Lyndon, are we doing both guests at the same time? Or are we doing one at a time?
Let's just do one at a time. Let Kendra have a chance to get her screen going.
All righty. So I am so excited to introduce to everybody here on The Difference and just in the world, a favorite human of mine, like I always have on the show. His name is Ty. Ty is my barber. He has been my barber since I moved out here to the DFW 4 years ago. This guy is a trustworthy business owner, and I know some of his story, but I'm excited to dive deeper in. Let's bring him on.
Hey, how you doing? How everybody doing? I'm Ty, the owner of the Men's Hour Barbershop. Nice to meet you guys.
Thanks for coming on today, Ty. Nice to meet you.
So Ty, you've been in the business how long now?
Man, steady. I've been in the business about 14 years as far as just steady. But I started in 1989 as a barber. I was young, worked my way up, but eventually I ended up getting a job at Bowen, and I went into corporate for a little while. Did that for about 11 years and ended up getting laid off at Bowen. I used to sell airplane parts and chemicals, but I always was a barber on the side always had 2 jobs, but when I got laid off, which was unexpected, uh, I had pension, 401k, totally vested, all the good stuff, uh, great medical insurance. And I ended up getting laid off because Boeing had some planes that had to be grounded. So it cost them a lot of money. So they laid off about 5,000 people. I was one of them. So I had, money saved up, and I didn't have to rush into what I wanted to do. So I decided after about 6 months, you know what, go into barbering full time. And for me, it was the best thing I ever did because it's something that I'm happy doing, something that I would be doing for free, even if I didn't have the business. So I started out working for other people and, learned the business side of everything, not just the barbering, and decided one day, when an owner wouldn't give me a raise that I thought I deserve, I said, you know what? I know this business. Let me go ahead and jump out there. And for me, the biggest thing is just if you want to do something for yourself, you got to jump out there. You gotta take the training wheels off and just jump out there. And that's what I did.
Love it. I mean, shit, that's what I did, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta jump head first before you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll figure out everything you need to know while you're going through it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ty, I have to. I'm sorry, I have to ask you a question because
Okay.
I have a little bit of history in barbering or cutting hair, and it's like that big. But so how did you learn? Did you go to school? Did you figure it out yourself? Like how did you learn?
Well, back in 1989, I wasn't old enough to actually get my license. So it was my first year of we had moved from Dallas to Garland, and it was my first time in another city other than Dallas, and then I was in 8th grade, and I used to practice on my little brother's hair, and people seen me sitting outside one day cutting his hair, and people started walking by asking how much you charge. And the first haircut came out great, and people liked it, and I've been making money off of it ever since.
That's awesome. My little bit of skill, I guess, that I acquired was in college in between before the weekends came along, and we're talking,
we're talking beer money. That's what we're talking.
It's exactly what it was. It was $2 per cut, and it was super easy. Basically, back in the mid '90s, you just have a flop of hair on top, and you pick it up, shave around it, and then let your hair flop down. That was your college cut. Yeah, I could knock them out in about 2 minutes, and it was $2 a cut.
It's amazing what we learn about people on this show.
Right.
That's right. So, barber was in session at like probably 4:00 on Friday, and then wrapped it up about 6, and then I'd go burn my beer money.
Oh yeah. It's a wonderful business if you know what you're doing, and
I didn't, by the way.
if you know customer service, it can take you a long way, because I know a lot of people that can cut a portrait in your hair and do the perfect haircuts, but their customer service part, that's what they're missing, and they don't make the money that they should.
Cool. Well, that's awesome.
So Ty, I mean, I know a little bit more about your story, and I know the big goals that you've got for yourself. You're letting some of your own self-restraint hold you back.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about a period in your journey that you're kind of most proud of, and the growth that you experienced then, and then for yourself, what can you take away from that moment in what you've got ahead of you and the rocks you've got to carry to move forward?
Honestly, the growth was getting a CPA. That let me know that I was legit. At first, I was gonna say getting a tax ID number, but getting a CPA let me know that I'm ready to do business, because a lot of barbers don't pay their taxes, and some of them can get themselves in trouble because they love that cash money up front. But for me, I just wanted to do everything the right way. So when I got my CPA, and I've been working with him for the last 3 years, doing my taxes, trying to understand, what direction to take. It really helped me out. It let me know that, hey, man, you're official, because this is the barbering field is a sneaky business. I don't have a master's degree. I don't have a PhD. But if you know how to do this business, you can make just as much as anybody with a master's degree. You just got to understand customer service, consistency, and just, going out and getting the job done.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Lyndon, I know it's time for a break here for our commercial partners. Are you ready to roll with those?
We're ready to go. Let's do it.
The difference is made possible by the following small businesses.
Real property management focus, an unmatched level of service to property owners, investors, and tenants throughout the DFW Metroplex.
Katie Owen, the insurance gal, helps overwhelmed Medicare-eligible people successfully navigate the enrollment process. When turning 65, retiring, and signing up for Medicare for the first time, it can be confusing. So it's important to get guidance from someone you can trust. Katie helps her clients navigate the enrollment process in a way that eliminates the feeling of being overwhelmed and unsure, and leaves her clients feeling relieved and confident. If you have questions about the Medicare process and want advice from someone you can trust, reach out to Katie at 972-943-3943 or at her website, www.insgal.com.
When you need a trusted roofing company on your side to help you out with storm damage repair for your roof, call Cook DFW Roofing. Serving Anna, Melissa, Princeton, Prosper, Van Alstyne, and all of the DFW area.
Red Branch Realty and owner realtor Ashley Gentry are true champions at every level. As a top producer, Ashley Gentry and Red Branch Realty truly embody their mission of being your supporter and partner in your personal real estate journey. So if finding the best representation possible in achieving the American dream of homeownership is important to you, give Ashley a call at 972-342-1869.
For more information about our sponsors and their services, or if you would like information on how you and your business can partner with or sponsor this show, or others like it, just check the show description or comments for the relevant links and contact information. And now back to the show.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for that. Sponsors, we couldn't do this without you. Back to today's topic, and that is growth mindset. And Kendra, what I'd love for you to do, if you could, it's good to see that you're moving again now. So if you wouldn't mind, introduce your guest and bring her in. I'd love to meet her.
Yes, so I'd love to introduce y'all to Margaret Pendleton, and she and I met at our Master Networks, Plano Tuesday group, and just I just had this feeling that she had a really good story and that she has come a long way in her career and later in life, like myself, where I kind of had to recreate myself about 5 years ago and just try to be as successful as I could and just not let anything get in my way. And even though there is always something that happens and you feel shot down here or there, but you just have to keep after it. And she has that mentality. And so I thought that she would just be an amazing person to come on. Little did I know, in this last week, she just started her own company. So she went from being a business development individual at a general contractor roofing company to now she just started her own.
That's
and
awesome.
So it just worked out. I was like, oh my gosh, you're even more perfect for us. But so I just would love to bring on Margaret and let her tell us all about her story.
Thank you, Kendra.
You're so welcome.
Well,
Margaret,
I'm Margaret. Yes.
why in the world would you go independent right now?
I know, it's crazy. I keep asking myself the same thing. Definitely need some storms. I just decided to take the leap. I can't really explain it honestly. I just decided I've been in the industry for about 4 years. I started with Priority Roofing, which is an amazing company. They actually just became the 31st out of the top 100 best roofing companies in the nation. So that was my stepping ground, and just realized I've got resources. I have the contacts, people to mentor me. I have great connections with them, and just wanted to try it. Kind of crazy.
That's great.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
awesome.
there's a whole lifetime of experience that leads up to that moment, but like I think we've all felt that moment, and like you can't go back from it, right? Like, you know, this is the next rock. So I'm excited for you. I remember that feeling. That is awesome.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
So
It's got me thinking of the quote. I don't remember now what movie it's from, but it's like, I have no idea what I'm going to do next. And then Robin Williams says, like, that's so exciting. Like, that I feel like is entrepreneurship in a nutshell.
Yes, I love that.
well, and I want to bring this in too, because last month our topic of the month was adversity, and how you overcome it. And Kendra mentioned she reinvented herself 5 years ago. It sounds like you did something similar. Ty, you mentioned, you got laid off from Boeing. That's, obviously a changing of direction there. Mark, you moved to a completely different city, not knowing a soul and not having a business. So, and we've all been through adversity, which is why I picked growth mindset and growth as the topic for this month, because after adversity, you either grow or you shrink and you die, right? So we're getting busy growing, not getting busy dying. So what I want to tell us about what led you to your change, Margaret.
Well, I was a stay-at-home mom for about 15 years and really needed to find myself, and kept betting on myself in different directions. Had a few bosses that, thank God, had a belief in me that I didn't see in myself, and took some wrong turns, of course, like we all do. But I just realized I'm the only one that can make it. And I've been at the lowest and I've been at the highest. And just took a chance on myself and started working commission by selling roofs, and realized the sky really is the limit. And I can make it as successful as possible, or I could sit there and do nothing. And I want to be successful. I want to be something for my generations to carry on. And this is the way to do it. And my purpose is to encourage people. So that's the reason why I named my company Rabora Roofing. Rabora is a Latin word for encourage. And I want to make a difference. And being the owner of my own company will be that difference. So.
Oh, she said the key word there. I think all of our ears perked up.
You didn't put the
Absolutely.
hashtag in front of it, but we'll take the difference.
The difference.
Margaret, have you do you know who Ed Milet is?
I don't.
So you've got to get this book. Ed Milet's The Power of One More.
Okay.
But literally what you just said is I think the realization that I had a number of years back of, like, it's on me to be the one, right? The one to change the trajectory of my family lines. And so I think there's something so powerful about that and leading into it. And I think it's different for everybody. But I think that book, I mean, I'm only halfway through it right now, but it's like every chapter, it's like, oh, exactly what I needed to hear, just to reaffirm things or just to put some other things in perspective. So for anybody starting there or going through their entrepreneurial journey, Ed Milet's The Power of One More, really good.
Okay.
Right. I'll have to get it. And I just want to say congratulations on the 75 hard. I've started it a few times, never went past the second day. So congratulations.
You got to make the commitment.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing I've learned through it is like whatever I commit to gets done. But there's so many opportunities everywhere. And now like my favorite thing to do is say no, like turn people down. Like, no, sorry, can't do that. Nope, can't do that either. And it's just because I know what my commitments are. And like, there is a lot of work that needs to get done. And that's all personal stuff, the 75 hard. So the personal stuff gets done, but none of that matters if the work stuff isn't getting done. So,
well, we see that it works because it's transforming you. I tell you that.
Yeah,
It sure is.
it worked.
time.
It's amazing.
We're gonna put together a time lapse of every time you're on the show, and we'll see, your progress throughout the entire thing.
I like it. Well, I mean, that's the cool part about it, right? Because it's doing that for everybody. Like within the app, you have to take the progress picture. And so you're going to see the literal progression of you. And it's funny, like those first couple of days, I'm like pissed off looking and like grimacing. And now it's like, I'm just smiling. Like, yep, another one done. Let's go. What's next?
That's pretty cool.
So I've got a question. I've got a question for our guests. I was reading something. I think it was mortgage related, actually, Mark. But it was the difficulty, or I guess the uniqueness of the work population as we've moved from more of a kind of a W-2 society to a lot of folks having either side income or just kind of doing what you guys on the show have done. And take a leap into business ownership, entrepreneurism, right? So the point of the mortgage article was it's more difficult to qualify for a mortgage. There are more hoops to jump through, blah, blah, blah. But it's relevant, I think, to this topic and growth. What drove you guys to it put you over the hump? Because I can speak personally. It took me quite a few years to get out of the comfort zone of having a nice paycheck in corporate America to actually starting my own business. And really, in some businesses, you can buy business, but things like a property management company, you've got zero. You start with a portfolio of zero, and that's really true for most businesses, actually. So it's a big hurdle to jump over and to get comfortable enough to try to jump over that. So I'll throw it out to you guys. What put you over the hump? What made you finally decide, yeah, shit, I'm going to do this? And we can let ladies go. Oh no, you know what, Ty? Why don't you tackle that one, because we let Margaret talk first earlier.
Thank you.
I think for me is that I knew the business. It's just that I was, to be truthful with you, I was scared. And I watched two owners that I helped that was just corporate guys. They didn't know much about the business, but I helped them get their company started. And one of the owners became extremely successful to where he was able to bring into a large company to take over his company. And now he gets 11% royalties on, I think there are around 123 stores now. So he get 11% royalties on it, and he sits back and he retired, and he's not an old guy. So when I looked at that, and I was like, man, he didn't know the business. Me and another guy kind of, taught him about the business and everything, but he had the money to really just jump out there and take the risk. But it's all about, taking the risk. I'm a natural gambler. I gamble a lot on sports. I gamble, anywhere from $100 to $500 a game. So I told myself one day, I said, man, if you take those type of risks, why don't you transfer that into the business field? Because, just my opinion, Wall Street, real estate, it's natural. It's just gambling. You're gambling on a educated guess of what you know in the field. So, and you're basing that off of your knowledge, So, and it doesn't mean it's going to always turn out right, but you got to take that chance. I mean, how many of us heard the old Roman saying, if I can get it correctly, I think Matt Damon just referenced it in a movie, but it's, history favors the risk takers, the bold. So, and when you look at it, look at Steve Jobs. He stepped away from, what was it, IBM to because he believed in what he was doing. Look at, Bill Gates. He dropped out of college because he believed, the guy that owns Amazon, Bezos. I mean, people laughed at him. Even people that worked with him laughed at him, thought he was crazy, but he stayed the course, and man, it turned out great.
I love that, the gambler's mentality. If you're going to gamble on yourself, right? Because, like you said, educated guesses, you can place a pretty big bet on yourself. So I'm going to take the over on Ty when he's gambling. So whatever that line is, I'm taking the over. Hey, I want to dive deeper into this topic. I think everybody has their own story and their own reasons. So I do want to dive a little deeper into the story. Before we do that, we've got to cut to break real quick, and then we'll dive into Margaret, and then I think Lennon might want to chime in on this one as well. So let's do that after the break.
The Difference Radio, live stream, and podcast, the voice of small businesses and the communities they serve.
Over the last 24 months, The Difference has evolved into a powerful internet media company that helps small businesses and local communities and nonprofit organizations create, produce, broadcast, and distribute a variety of shows, all designed to empower our communities, the businesses, the people, the places, and the events that make our cities, communities, and the folks that live there so very special.
With almost 1.5 million viewers and listeners in the last 2 years, The Difference and its unique strategy of positive impact branding has helped communities and small businesses be seen, be heard, and be remembered.
In a world that is consumed with negative press, media manipulation, and propaganda, The Difference, along with many others who believe in and support The Difference, understand that there is no better way to make the difference in our communities than to highlight the unsung heroes and high achievers that call our towns and communities home. And we wanted to create a platform that does just that, one that brings awareness to and reminds folks of the goodness that lives within so many of us and our neighbors.
And don't forget to hit that like, follow, and subscribe button, and tune in each week so you can experience The Difference.
I love that spot because it pretty much ties into exactly what we're talking about, right? In growth and uplifting each other as business owners, entrepreneurs. That's what The Difference is all about. It is the things that make the difference in business and life. And as we talk about growth and we talk about support and we talk about, last month overcoming adversity, the Difference truly is a family-oriented, business community that, if you haven't looked into it, please look at our Facebook page, check us out, because there is tons of opportunity to get to meet and really utilize each other as assets within, from a business perspective and personal perspective within The Difference. So check us out online. Now, that being said, getting back to the question that I asked before of getting over the hump of launching that business, going out on your own, doing your own thing. It takes a lot of courage. Ty, you mentioned that you had fear, right? That's natural. I guarantee you, I know I did. I guarantee you everybody who was faced with that decision had to overcome at least a decent amount of fear, if not an immense amount of fear, because it's not easy. And that first day that you work your butt off, that first week, and you don't have a paycheck at the end of that week, that's and if you got a family to support and all that, you got a roof over your head, that's something to be afraid of. So that's why I threw it out there, because I love hearing the answers of, because once you get over that hurdle, it allows you have to grow, right? Your first step is, I think that's a growth step right there. And then from there, you have to grow. So Margaret, I'm going to throw it out to you, and Landon, I know you want to chime in on the topic as well, but what got you to the point where you felt like, yep, this is it. I'm doing this.
Honestly, I'm sitting here trying to think of that while you asked that question, but really my response is the dots connected. God aligned it perfectly and effortlessly. It's just so weird to me how it all transpired. I just had a conversation with someone one day and wasn't quite sure of the direction that was going. And I just was thinking about, what am I going to do? And honestly, just started praying about it and just took the jump. I just felt like everything started to fall into place. Like I said, it was effortless. And I can't really explain it. I wanted to take this chance on myself. I've overcome quite a bit. And I just want to see if I can do this, and never really bet on myself, if you will, to this extent. And I want to take that chance. So I just decided to do it.
Great.
It's funny that you say that, because I literally, as you were asking, Brian, I'm like, I've told people before, like when I moved out here, I was 25, like young, dumb, had like 10, 20 grand in the bank. So I felt like I was on top of the world, and it's like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And then after I came here and then fell flat on my face, that's where I was like, oh, like this is the real world. And like the phone doesn't ring unless you make it ring. And even when it rings, like you need to actually have customer service. And then after customer service, like there's this whole client care thing. And then all of that just led to like, okay, this is the next thing, next most important thing. This is the next most important thing. And it inevitably, like, that's what, as you were talking, I keep having this quote that I don't even remember who said it, but I was talking about it earlier today. Like, you will never outgrow your potential, because your potential at all times is a makeup of your past experience. And so as you build up more experience, your potential grows. And so it's really all about just chasing, like, what is your highest potential? And in reality, like, we'll never find it, but that's where you can get to a Jeff Bezos. And that's where you can see a Jeff Bezos taking a multi-billion dollar company and then starting up a space company. And then, like, who knows what else he and others are going to do. And it's because they just keep expanding their potential.
It's a good way to look at it. I never thought of potential as, you know, a culmination of what you've done in the past. But yeah, the more tools you add to your tool belt, and the more assets you accumulate from a financial standpoint, obviously in Bezos' case, it's certainly can do a lot more with that. You know, the potential factor is a lot bigger. That's a good way to put it. I like that. I like that angle. Landon, I know you wanted to chime in on getting over the hump on
Mine might have been a little bit different. When I was 24 years old, my mother had worked. Well, let me back up just a little bit. I grew up in a small town in Arkansas, and you know, from the time that you were able to understand what the adults were talking about, all you ever heard was, go to work for this company. They've got benefits, they've got insurance, they've got retirement, they've got all of these things. So, I mean, that's just kind of what I thought I would do. You know, I'd go to school, I'd come out, I would try to find one of those best companies that was hiring, and I would be there the rest of my life. My mother was a nurse. She worked in the healthcare field forever, and she got a chance to be a corporate nurse. I'm not going to mention the company, but they're a global company. And she worked there for 19 and a half years. And the reason she only worked there for 19 and a half years is because at 20 years, you were vested and able to retire. So they laid her off 6 months before she got full retirement. Everything that she had worked for was gone in an instant. And it was at that moment where I'm like, I don't trust corporations. Now, I'm not saying that they're bad, for me, I just didn't feel comfortable working for corporations. Now I have throughout the years, but I always saw the writing on the wall. And that's what led me to go out. I'm not going to say I was a business owner or entrepreneur at the age of 24, but I was working for myself at the age of 24. And kind of like Mark, as I fell flat on my face time and time again, I learned each and every time. And I learned how to be better. And I learned that what motivates me, we had this discussion on another show, Jordan Espeseth, you guys know him. We were having this discussion, and his question is, what motivates you? And mine's not fear or anything like that. It's impact. It's where can I make the difference? And when I started realizing that I was in control of making the difference, I could choose who I wanted to help. I could figure out how I could best help them. And then I could, without any resistance, put all my time and effort into making that come true for myself and for everybody else I was helping. And so the hump for me was watching my mom and my family. I'm not going to say suffer through. We were okay, but it was emotional for my mom. Let's put it that way, because she really had believed in the people that she worked for, and they showed her that she didn't matter after all that time that she devoted to them.
Yeah, and I've heard that story from you, Lennon, before, and it resonates every time I hear it. And Ty, it sounds like you kind of had a similar experience in corporate America, and I think it's for me too. Same here. And then again, the company that I worked for, it came down to it is a numbers game. I was on the finance side, so I understand the numbers. But at the same time, it got so ridiculous that every year there was layoffs, and it was always based on when the corporate reporting time frame calendar fell, right? And it always happened to be right around Valentine's Day. So the ongoing joke was, okay, the St. Valentine's Day massacre is happening. Who's going to be part of it?
Oh, that sucks.
Right? I mean, it's
oh dang.
It's a sad environment when, and we're talking a Fortune 100 company.
Right.
It's a big ass company, right?
Yep.
So it became almost a running joke, and it's a sad joke, but it's just how commonplace it's become. And that's it's not just that company, it's pretty much across the board. So
it is. And you know what, just to add to that, because Mark can tell you exactly where I'm going with this one, is that we're finding that it is like the knee-jerk reaction to one of the big title names, and I'm not going to say it because they've got quite a few sister companies, was to lay off 2 months ago. That was their first thing to do. Oh my gosh, interest rates went up 2 points. We know it's going to change. We know market's going to change. We know. And at that point, I think we'd already gone up a point. So they just knee-jerk reaction to their, and I don't know all of them, but I'd say most of them have cleaned house, half their sales force, anybody that's non-essential in their mind, they've just cleaned house. Not looking at, and they did the same thing when COVID started. And the irony is, there's the rest of us that are like, we've made sure that our portfolio is diversified enough, which is one of the reasons why I made the jump from where I'm at now, why I've gone to Stewart, is because, yeah, we are tightening our belts, and yeah, we're being cautious, and we're not putting money into some areas that we'd love to, like as in some advertising and some of the magazines we'd love to be in. But we want to wait 6 months, 9 months, see where everything goes, because he'd rather hold on to people, our division president. And it's just about really, he realizes, luckily, that he came from sales with another title company. He was a sales manager. He's our division president. He gets the people aspect of it. He gets the fact that we're going to be more successful by holding on to good people, hiring good people, and having them build those relationships. But it's real interesting right now because it's such a, let's just cut and see what happens. And who cares if we cut some of the people that we really need? They just don't care. And it's just an interesting thing to watch. It's also interesting to watch the lenders that are doing it too, and the lenders that didn't diversify their portfolio, and then all of a sudden, like the one that filed bankruptcy 2 months ago in Plano and let 400 people go. So wow. yeah, that was kind of crazy. And I'm sure they're not going to be the only one. So it's just a real strange time right now where, yeah, it's going to be a little tougher, but people are still buying and selling. And it is the time, by the way, if you're paying attention and you're thinking about buying or selling, don't wait in 6 months. Don't wait 9 months. Do it now. Do it now. Call me if you need a realtor. Call Mark if you need a realtor. And call Mark if you need a loan. Do it now. Don't wait. Don't wait. So that's all. That's where I'll stop on that one.
But so, I mean, you bring up, so, I mean, everything you said is factual, right? It was interesting for me listening to it in the, like, it's the business owner's duty and responsibility to ensure that that company lasts for the long term and can continue to make the impact.
Yep.
There are, I know, plenty on the mortgage side. That's all I can really speak for the most part. Like, a lot of us were overstaffed and like salaries inflated and like buying talent because of everything that happened in the years before. And so it's a natural order of things, right? Of pruning and making sure that you have the right people in the right seats at the right time, and realizing that like there's so much that we can control, but like exponentially more that we can't control. And so it's, how do we ensure that we are the best leaders that we can be, and let that actually kind of trickle down into the core people that we have in whatever organization we run. Exactly. And so that's a huge undertaking. It's a huge challenge. And so I think it sucks to hear employees getting let go. I think we all empathize with it. I think very few of us, especially non-entrepreneurs, non-business owners, can actually empathize with that business owner in having to make the decision to actually do that. That's not a fun decision for anybody to make, right? They're not doing it with smiles on their face. But it was interesting for me because we all empathize with the employees, but employers, they've got to look out for more than just themselves, right? They're looking out for everybody else that they're actually able to keep on board and continue to have the ship moving in the direction that they need to move it in.
That is a good point, and that's a good perspective too. You're not only responsible for those on your workforce, but if you're a massive company, you've got shareholders that you've got to keep.
Shareholders, I don't have any empathy for.
I agree with you.
Nah.
So anyway,
the sad part is it used to not be that way. I mean, it really didn't. If you look back 40 years ago, companies took care, and that's why a lot of people have taken these jobs, because they're still so based on this is the most secure career and occupation you can take. But it's not. It can be over in a second. And so you can't control that. Mark, you can control whether you go to work tomorrow or not. You can control to a certain degree how successful you are tomorrow. And no one can ever take that away from you. They can't, because they can't stop you from working hard when you're working for yourself. And that's why I love the entrepreneur, but I also love the entrepreneur, Mark, that you talked about, that's been the employee, because they are more sensitive to the employees that they hire, and they do a better job of taking care of them.
Agree.
Yeah.
Well, they have to, right? And if they don't, like, they'll learn the hard way. Like, there's nothing worse than losing good talent.
Yep. All right, Brian.
So, on that note, we are going to have to go to our last commercial break. On the back side of it, what I want to explore, so think about this during the break, is what has been the biggest either event and or person who has inspired you to grow the most. So we'll do that on the back end.
The difference is made possible by the following small businesses. WeatherTech General Contracting. We make your home renovation dreams a reality.
Metroplex Delivery is DFW's premier restaurant delivery service. Metroplex Delivery brings premium restaurant food right to your door. Metroplex Delivery offers uncompromising white glove treatment. Launching in McKinney and Allen. Give Metroplex Delivery a call at 469-505-0844 or online at www.metroplex.delivery.com. and buy.
Alan Lester, branch manager and team lead for the One Group, a branch of Town Square Mortgage. With over 22 years in the mortgage lending industry, Allen and Town Square Mortgage have many loan program options available from conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, jumbo, and many investor and self-employed programs. So if you're looking for the best in the business, give Allen a call at 214-681-0234.
For more information about our sponsors and their services, or if you would like information on how you and your business can partner with or sponsor this show, or others like it, just check the show description or comments for the relevant links and contact information. And now back to the show.
All right, welcome back, and thank you again to our sponsors. We appreciate everything that they do, and again, couldn't be doing this without them. So, all right, back to the question. Do you guys have, and Lennon's story kind of obviously ties into that, but I was trying to think of either looking forward in the future. It goes along with goal building and things like that. So we'll probably dive into that in the upcoming months of business topics. But looking back and in history, from a growth standpoint, whether it's personal or professional, it doesn't have to be only business based. Is there a specific event that happened in your life or a person in particular that helped you grow the most?
Man, I mean, I feel like I've taken over the whole show, but I feel like I could run an entire hour on that in and of itself. My life has been kind of summarized by like massive leaps. Born in Russia, moved to America when I was 7. Went to school in New Hampshire, graduated, decided to go do mortgages in DC, Maryland, like 8 hours away from family. Got good at what I was doing and decided let's go to Texas and try it on the other side where you have to make the phone ring. And then all of those moments in and of itself, like those are all massive platforms for the growth that came. But then it was really, it was the move out here to Dallas. It was the breakup with the ex-girlfriend. It was the literal 5 a.m. mornings with David Goggins in my ear. David Goggins is a huge one. Andy Frisella, who started 75 Hard, has been a huge influence. Ed Milet's been a huge influence. I've always looked for, the leaders out there that are willing to lead empathetically, including like John Maxwell and my CEO, Casey Crawford. And so it's always just looking, if I don't have somebody in my inner circle that's leading, there's a big world out there. Like who are the best leaders? Make them your mentor.
So I hear a bit of an underlying theme there. And that is, it started with, and it's your growth has been spurred by getting outside of your comfort zone.
I hate comfort zones.
Yeah.
But literally the reason why I started 75 Hard was I realized I was in a comfort zone. Like, oh, nope, done with that.
Well, and I also think that you pull in last month's theme of adversity, and that's where going through a major life overhaul change, hadn't really planned for a divorce that, after 28 and a half years of marriage. And I had gone back to work just to basically help out college and help out with vacations and help out just that part-time working mom. And then all of a sudden I found myself, I have to support myself. And not only do I have to support myself, but I also need to figure out how I'm going to retire one day and how I'm going to survive. And my kids were going to come back and always stay with me and not someone, their dad. So it's like, there's a lot of moving parts there. And it was out of that adversity, I decided not to continue working for a builder. And because I was like, knew I needed to have a life, because I love working for builders, and I give a lot of credit for sales reps at builders, but it is a tough road because you're working a weekend. And not only that, you're also working 7 days a week, because on your days off, you're going into the build and you are going through floor plans and you are working with your buyers and you're answering phone calls, you're asking realtors calls, you're doing it's a lot of work. I loved it, but decided I wanted more of the business development route. And I took a step back and I took a pay cut, but I got the experience through Payne Insurance Group as his BD and popped right into title from that and have never looked back. And I have changed, things I've gone into, and it's been great. But it was all from that adversity and that necessity to survive. Truly necessity to survive.
Yeah, that's a good driving force.
Yeah.
When we were talking last month, and loan officer Mark had gym owner Mark, I'll call him, on the show, and his we're talking adversity again.
Yeah,
but his driving force was death, which seemed pretty morbid. But once he described it and walked us to how he got there, it made a lot of sense. And that is, living for, you never know when life is going to be over, so you might as well live it to the max. Was his point in that. And it actually the following week show the same thing came up. In just living your life to the fullest, because you never know when the good Lord's going to call you. So, and that ties into that too, Kendra, is that, hey, you've got to do what you got to do to to survive and look at the long term. So that's certainly a good driver. What about you, Margaret? I'm curious to know if there's any one event or person or people or anything that has really driven the growth in your life.
I got tired of quitting. Every time I turned around, I felt like I was quitting. And long story short, about 8.5 years ago, I had a very humiliating experience of getting a DWI. I was drinking too much and decided I'm not going to drink anymore. So I haven't in 8.5 years, because when I had to tell my children about my DWI and others as well, it was very humiliating, and I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to change, and I'm going to do everything I can to continue to do better and be better for not only myself, but my family. So
that's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing, because that's and we said this last month with adversity too, with, a lot of these stories are difficult to share. So that's great. I appreciate you sharing that. And that's pretty inspirational as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lennon, I think you had something you wanted to toss in on this one. Hit us, buddy.
And only because it's something that I've shared the last couple of weeks, and I didn't realize the impact that it made on me at the time. But about 20 years ago, I got introduced to a mortgage broker in Austin. And so, of course, I'm like everybody else as an entrepreneur. I'm hustling. I'm begging for business. I got commission breath worse than anybody else in the world. And I'm hammering and making as many enemies as I am friends. But, that's how I thought you did it. And so I walk in, this guy, he was, I wouldn't say retirement age, but he was getting close. He had been he'd been around for a while. And so I go in and I give him my pitch and I tell him how great I'm going to be for all his clients and all this and blah, 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 the things that I had been taught to do and thought, it was working for me. And what I loved about him is he was old enough that he could just be as blunt as he wanted to be, and you couldn't really get mad at him. And he said, so basically what you're telling me is you just want access to the database I had to work and build myself. And I was like, holy shit.
Yes, sir.
I do.
Well, I wouldn't put it that way, but yeah. He said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to be back here same time next week, but I want you to come in with a plan on how you and I are going to build new business together. If you can do that for me, we will partner. If you can't, don't show up. And he shook my hand and we actually sat there and talked some more about sports. And so I left out of there and I'm like, what just happened to me? I'd been shot down before, but I'd never been hammered like that. But I went home and I gave it some thought, and it was the hardest thing for me to do, to try to figure out how we could build business together, because I had never done that. But I did. And I went back a week later and I walked in and I said, here's the plan. Here's how you and I are going to start building business together. And he goes, I like it. Let's do it. And we started working and we started building new business together. Well, by the time I'd earned his trust, he was giving me everything in his database that he had built over decades. But not only that, he started referring me to other people because he always did it this way. I've got this guy, his name's Lyndon. He's going to come in with a plan on how y'all can build new business together. And it was always different. So I had to come up with new ideas each and every time. And that's really kind of why I've called myself a business development specialist over the last 20-something years, because I don't seek referral partners. I seek strategic partnerships. But I will never forget that man, because he changed my perspective on what I could offer rather than what I could get.
Sounds like he kept you a little bit on your toes there.
Oh boy, he was awesome for me. He really was. I mean, he was a challenge. I will put it this way: I loved him to death. He's passed away, but I couldn't wait to go see him, and I would be sick at my stomach every time I did, because I'm like, what the hell am I about to walk into today? But it was. I mean, he made me grow. Mark, you talking about comfort zone? There was no comfort zone with this guy, and that's kind of how he operated. He didn't operate in one either, and he wasn't gonna. It wasn't just me. I watched how he worked with the other employees, and he wasn't hateful. He was helpful, but he was completely honest, and you either got better or you wondered why.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's. What was it? Shawshank Redemption, I think, is it get busy living or get busy dying. That whole, stay on your toes, growth mindset. Real quick, I had a good friend of mine pass away this week, and it was pretty sudden. It was a fellow hockey dad who, he was a business owner as well, commercial real estate guy, and a week and a half ago, he was at his son's hockey game, and then he had back surgery about a month prior, and had an infection that they hadn't caught, and then all of a sudden it caused sepsis, and over the course of a week, his organs failed, and he's no longer with us. So, on that note, I don't want to end the show on a bad note, but to the point of wrapping last month's topic of adversity and growth this month, you really don't know how much time you have left on this planet. It can go in a hurry. So that's why I bring that Shawshank Redemption quote in: "Get busy living or get busy dying." Why focus on the negative when you can have a growth mindset and take yourself, your business, and your mindset to the next level. So on that, anybody else have anything else to add?
It's really hard to get growth without adversity. So seek adversity.
Yeah. Amen.
That's why they call it growing pains.
Yep, that's right.
Amen. All right. Well, on that note, guys, try to stay cool this weekend. I think we might have below 100 coming up, is what I saw potentially on the forecast. I don't know, but we are on pace with the 2011 record of most 100-degree days in a year. I think it was 71 or something like that. We are like neck and neck. So we'll keep tabs on that. It's a race I hope we lose, but right now
same here. And that fire was a little too close to your house and my house yesterday.
Oh, right on. Yeah, there was a Grand Park in Frisco
that was freaky.
70-acre fire yesterday, grass fire.
Yeah.
It was.
I saw one on 35 when I was driving home.
Yeah. So stay safe out there. Try to stay cool, and we will see everybody next week again talking about growth. Take care, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.